Hey guys, Chen here. I'm really excited because I'm going to check out my fully restored R34 GT-R for the first time. We're here in Nara at Garage Yoshida. About 24 hours ago, I boarded a flight in LA, went straight to Tokyo, then got picked up by the Built by Legends folks, and we drove 6 hours straight here. And now I finally get to see my car. So pretty here. In the last episode, we watched Mr. Yoshida and his wife completely disassemble my R34 GT-R in a little over 6 hours. We left off right after he started replacing the rusty stock shock towers. The next step is removing any rust and patching up any holes, as well as the remaining little bit of metalwork. If the car had been repainted before or had any repairs, he would have to remove the paint all the way down to bare metal. Because my car had the original paint, he just needed to prep the surface and fix all the dents and make sure it's as smooth as possible to apply new paint. He then treats the entire chassis with an epoxy solvent, which acts as an anti-rust solution. The solvent goes in all the holes and crevices in the entire chassis as it gets rotated on a rotisserie to make sure it does not miss any part of the entire chassis. Then all of the seams in the chassis get sealed, including the ones that Nissan may not have sealed from the factory. That's why the stock shock towers needed to be replaced in the first place. He does take precaution to make sure he leaves the holes that are necessary for draining water from the chassis. Then underneath the chassis gets treated with a rubberized undercoating, even on the parts where the undercoating wouldn't typically be. The Bayside blue paint that's used on the underbody of the car is actually a different kind of paint than what's used on the rest of the body. It still looks like Bayside blue, but it's a mix of paint that is more durable specifically for the interior of the chassis as well as the underbody. This is of course to prevent the rust in the interior and on the underbody of the car. The paint process is the most painstakingly difficult and it takes so much patience. The underbody itself is 5 coats, which includes epoxy, primer, and 2 coats of underbody paint plus 1 coat of clear. Then next up is the engine bay and the interior, which is the same process as the underbody. The complete exterior of the chassis, including the doors, hood, trunk, bumpers, and all the other body panels are painted at the same time to ensure the color matches perfectly. It starts with 3 coats of base and then 3 coats of color, and it also gets 3 coats of clear, which means a total of 9 coats of paint. After each major application of paint, he puts it in an oven for an hour to cure. As soon as it's out of the oven, it's a small window of opportunity to remove any particles that may have fallen onto the car during the drying period. After the paint has cured, he spends days on end sanding and polishing every single panel of the entire body with 5 different levels of compounds. Then he completely assembles the car and polishes the entire car again. As for the engine, we agreed that it would be best to rebuild it to make it run like a brand new car again. Everything was disassembled and it was all measured and balanced. He replaced anything that had signs of wear. He also went above and beyond by sending most of the internal components to WPC for a surface treatment. Of course, all the gaskets and seals are brand new, as well as the oil pump and water pump, because after 25 years, it was time to replace all of it. After so many GT-R restorations, Mr. Yoshida was not happy with the interior sound deadening that was available on the market, so he developed his own. It saves about 5 kilograms and provides for a quieter ride. Once the car was completely back together, Mr. Yoshida was able to test drive the car 250 kilometers just to make sure the engine and the rest of the vehicle functioned normally. Altogether, it took him exactly 4 months to restore this car from beginning to end. If you guys were wondering about the very rare Nissan TV system, he unfortunately had to remove it because it only picked up analog channels. I did specifically ask for Garage Yoshida not to restore the transmission and the rest of the driveline as well as the suspension, because we would focus on that on our own time when it gets back to the States. I touched on this a little bit in the last video, but the cost of the body and chassis restoration was 12 million yen, which in today's exchange rate comes out to a little under $83,000. The motor refresh and the Garage Yoshida sound deadening was extra. I see the car behind those curtains. Let's go see it. Okay. I'm so excited. I'm so ready. It's like a new car. It's so good. The front bumper, all the cracks are gone and everything. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's on a dyno right now because Yoshida-san wanted to give you a quick power check for you to see that the engine's been overhauled.
Right.
And then we'll have time for you to take out for your first spin.
All right. Look at the engine bay, it's blue. For the first time in its life, it's blue. Because from the factory, these come black. It's actually pretty cool for me to see this for the first time as a fully restored car, and it's on an all-wheel drive dyno. First start. Feel right now. When I first laid my eyes on this, I was a little bit overcome with emotion. It's not so much that this was restored and seeing it compared to what it was before. It's more just a reminder of what it took to get to this point in terms of my life, my career, just pushing so hard for so many years, and to be able to enjoy something like this. It's just unreal. It's just so cool. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. And I've said this time and time before about this car in particular. There's so many prettier cars. There's so many cars that make a lot more horsepower. But there's just this aura around this car. There's a lore around this car that is unexplainable. It's just special. It's special to me. And it's honestly special to so many other people in the car culture community. We just ran it on the dyno. The goal for Mr. Yoshida to put it on the dyno was to just verify that it makes stock horsepower, because as you guys saw in the last video, we had a crazy issue with the timing belt tensioner. where it pretty much could have exploded anytime. If we drove maybe 2-3 kilometers more, it would have exploded, and then we would have had a catastrophic failure. Luckily, that didn't happen, and Mr. Yoshida was able to tear down the motor and do like a full refresh, full rebuild, just to make sure that we make at least the stock horsepower. So it made 280 to the wheels, which is pretty much what these generally dyno at. We decided very early on that it wasn't about building a crazy motor that makes 700 and 800 horsepower, at least not yet. Maybe that's in the future, but the point is that I just wanted to do something that could only be done in Japan in this way, right? So right now, there's not many other places that can do this type of restoration specifically for the R34 in the world. So I figured, you know what, let's get that out of the way before I import it to the US. But what we're gonna do now is we're going to take it down and we're going to go for a drive. I'm going to get to feel what it's like to drive this rebuilt vehicle. And then tomorrow we're going to put it on the lift, and I just want to go over as much as I can in terms of what Yoshida did to the car and what other things that we're going to have to do in the US. My plan is to display this at the Type S booth at the SEMA show in 2024. So the point is for me to just get it to a point where they can hand it off to us, because the little things, you know, we can do. For example, it's still the stock radiator. We can switch that out, no problem. There's still a couple little trim pieces and things that we can get new old stock. That way it updates the look. And then of course, one big thing we'll talk about tomorrow is suspension, brakes, a couple other little bits here and there, but let's go ahead and get it out on the road. Hey, if you like what you're watching, do me a favor, go check out the Hagerty Drivers Club. 24/7 roadside assistance with flatbed towing, subscription to our award-winning magazine, and more. Sign up today, links in the description. So we just swapped out the replacement KWs with the correct valving. What happened was KW sent over a certain set of coilovers for us to use for the track because we were taking this to Fuji Speedway. Unfortunately, it wasn't the correct valving for street. So it was just a little more soft than I like for the street. It was okay for Fuji since I was curb hopping and stuff. I'd rather it be more stiff for the street. But what's funny is we got it down on the ground. I've been staring at it so much that when I look elsewhere, it's like red. It's like a different color because I've been staring at blue so much. I look somewhere else, it's like a different tint of color. We're gonna do rolling shots, but this is the first time I'm seeing it in the sun. First time I'm seeing it move. It's funny because at this time it doesn't look like my car. I mean, it's like this nice Bayside blue R34. Look at it on the streets of Japan. How beautiful. I didn't even want to drive for the first time. I wanted to get some shots of it here with Mr. Yoshida behind the wheel. How crazy does that look? Okay, so we have this tollgate road essentially pretty much to ourselves. It's like, I wouldn't say it's abandoned, but it doesn't go anywhere at this moment. So we've just been shooting up and down this tollgate road, getting some really nice shots. And it's like the leaves are falling. The air is pretty cool here for it being so hot. It is just like the most Japanese scene ever. Like, look at this. This is what I'm looking at right now. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. That is my car. I'm gonna get behind the wheel and I'm gonna see what it's like to drive back. If there's anything that we need to change, we can change it right away. It's going to Tokyo on Friday afternoon. We're gonna be able to take it for a night cruise with Dino and a couple other friends. Okay, here we go. Driving it for the first time since the restoration. Suspension. Feels so weird to be in this car again. It's funny because I've been seeing it apart and in pieces for so long. It's crazy to me to think that it's all together. I remember when I dropped this off, it was kind of gut-wrenching, honestly, to see it getting taken apart. It almost, maybe it's just me, but it feels like it sounds cleaner when I'm getting on it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's awesome. I do feel like, generally speaking, the cabin noises, maybe it's just me, but it does feel reduced because of their custom sound deadening that covers more of the floor. What's crazy is now the interior being so clean, it finally matches the outside, or at least the outside matches the inside. It's so good. I just can't get over how good this car is. Just took it for my first drive. Felt really good. Felt pretty much the same as before, which is good. Considering so much, like for example, the shock towers have been changed and updated to the Garage Yoshida ones. It's almost hard for me to get used to how shiny it is. It just looks wet because the way it's reflecting everything, it's just like a blue mirror, if that makes sense. One thing that I really, really like that Mr. Yoshida did was putting on the Nismo side skirts and the rear spats. So the rear spats here, the side skirts, it effectively lowers the car without being physically lower. I do think I'm gonna need to run wider tires now that I look at it. The wheels themselves sit flush. In fact, they do poke out a little bit still, even though I have the Nismo over fenders in the front. I really like this look. I know a lot of people don't like it, but this is a real Nismo part. And for you to be able to pass road inspection check-in, you need it to cover the wheel and the tire. So then a lot of people just run the Z-Tune fender. But then that looks crazy aggressive with this huge vent here. And if the rest of the car is pretty subtle, it kind of looks a little weird. So I like that. I think it's subtle. It kind of keeps with the roundness. But then again, I do have a Nismo bumper, like a real Nismo bumper, verified, because we had a chance to see the sticker and serial number when we were restoring it. It's a lot to get used to. The new headlights, oh my God, they look so good. I mean, that was one of the things that really hurt the look of my car, the yellowed headlights. They're cracked, the tabs are broken off. And then of course, another thing I was super stoked on were all the badges that I was able to buy from Nismo at the Omari factory. And I made sure to put them in the glove box for Mr. Yoshida, and he replaced every single badge with the brand new badges. So it's just a small little touch that kind of updates the look of the car. Even the rear badge is updated. It looks really, really good. Brand new. I mean, they oxidize pretty good. That detail is just, it's very clean. The thing that really gets me is that every Bayside Blue that I've seen, the color on the plastic and the color on the metal looks so different. So now you look at the bumper, you look at the over fenders, side skirts, it's the same color. Considering this is gonna be garage now, I'm pretty sure this won't fade, at least the rate that it faded when it was a new car. Well, that's it for day one. Tomorrow, we'll go ahead and put it on the lift. We'll check it out, and we'll go through a lot of the things that we're still gonna have to do when it gets to the US before the SEMA show. And then we'll also talk to Mr. Yoshida about all the things that he's done or any suggestions that he potentially has for us to get ready for the SEMA show. Here we are, day 2 at Garage Yoshida, and I'm just finally able to check out underneath the newly rebuilt R34 GT-R. I did have a chance to buy this titanium Nismo strut tower bar, and Mr. Yoshida has installed it with this cool clear gasket, which is really important because it's going to not scratch the brand new shock towers that he installed. It's actually pretty weird to see the shock towers, the engine bay, and even the firewall so shiny, because it's usually just a black hole of light when you open up one of these engine bays. He was able to repaint the valve cover, and it looks so clean because the motor is completely 100% refreshed and dynoed and verified that it makes 330 horsepower to the crank, which is around stock. We got a brand new heat shield, which is really nice to clean up the engine bay. The underside of the hood is so clean and glossy. One thing that really also stands out is the Garage Yoshida plate. Now, these are only on cars that are fully restored, that goes through their restoration program. The Built by Legends cars has the plate also, but it's a different serial number. So R stands for restoration, and 4 is, of course, R34. This is the third fully restored serialized vehicle that they've done, so that's what the 3 is there for. The TV2 is Bayside Blue, the color code, and 24 is the year that this was restored. The headlights are brand new and they have been converted to LED, so they are no longer xenon headlights. There's so much new hardware, plastic pieces, and things that Mr. Yoshida has changed, but there's also still a lot left for me to do when we bring this to the US. For example, it still has the stock Calisonic radiator. We'll probably change that to a CSF radiator when we bring it to the US. So many little things were replaced with new old stock, like for example, these buttons that hold the VIN plate in. The intake has been rebuilt. There's a lot of new hardware. We do want to replace it with a remade in the USA version, which is what I have on my R32 GT-R. We'll also do that at our shop back in the US. There's still like little things, switches and components that if we are able to find new old stock, I'll replace on my own over time, just gathering little bits and pieces. Like for example, this twin turbo badge here, definitely needs to be replaced. There's some oxidation on that. And then even this panel here, this is still original from the original car. Other things I think I would love to replace: the intercooler, the stock horns, bunch of things that look okay and function just fine, but I think it would be nice to be able to find new. From the outside, it just looks so clean. I'm undecided on the wheels that I'm gonna run at the SEMA show. I'll either run these with really fat AO52s, maybe 285 or 295s, 18s. I think it just looks so much better when it fills out the wheel wells. These Apex tires are fine for the street, but I think it just looks so much more aggressive with AO52s. Either that, or I would rebuild the LMGT4 magnesium wheels that came with the car. I understand that it's pretty much impossible to restore them to brand new, and it would actually be very dangerous for me to use those on the racetrack or on the street. But I think for display, it would look really, really cool because they're just really historic wheels, and they're modeled after the race wheels that Nissan used for JGTC and Super GT. Now we have the vehicle on the lift, and we'll kind of go over the underside a little bit. The rear is definitely missing the Nismo diffuser. I think that really would complete the look of the vehicle. Because I have the Nismo rear spats and also now the side skirts, with shipping, it's gonna be over 10 grand from Nismo at this time. It's ridiculous because I feel like it's just a piece of carbon fiber. I'll just show you guys what it looks like right now. So this is what a used one looks like. This piece of carbon fiber alone that fits underneath the car is worth $10,000, brand new, which is just insane. It's something that you barely can see, but of course it adds to the look of the car, especially from the back. So that's something that I'm gonna wanna do. You guys can see right away that the subframe was not fully restored. This was something that I discussed with Mr. Yoshida, and we agreed that this is something that I'll be able to tackle with my team back in the US, little by little, because I want to upgrade the brakes. I want to upgrade the axles. I want to upgrade so many things on the driveline. And because it's stock right now, we're just going to take baby steps, right? Because I could have gone crazy with the motor, 2.8 liter HKS stroker, all that, but I chose to just have it as a clean, rebuilt stock engine that runs great, that I can just have like a good baseline setup. The downpipe will probably go with the HKS variant. All these little things, for example, like the slave cylinder and just little knickknacks here and there, like this cross brace, we could either try to get new, or something like this just has tiny little bit of surface rust. I feel like we could just refinish this and then coat it with Steel It or some kind of coating so it can at least pretty much just disappear. Another thing that I realized is that a lot of this stuff could just benefit from a dry ice blast. I think it will be able to clean a lot of these parts up so they'll look good as new. Most of the time you won't really see the underbody anyways, so it's not that big of a deal, but just for our peace of mind, we want it to look as good as possible.
You know, rust that you can see from the outside, or that occurred from the outside of the body, is fairly easy to fix. It's straightforward. But rust occurring from the inside is a lot more difficult to fix, and by the time you see it from the outside, it's gotten a lot more extensive. He wants to prevent that from happening to the cars that he restores.
So the rear plate that you can't really see right now inside the bumper, that is a location that Nissan, or that's sealed in production, the original production, but the seal isn't really complete. So a lot of the times, or a lot of the cars that Yoshida-san has seen tended to have rust accumulate because water accumulates inside. So he removed the plate and removed the rust and redid the sealing all around that very small steel panel.
Structurally, that's a very important part of the car, I'm assuming, right? Because that's like where the frame rail is.
So yes, this is an important part of the body because it is the joint section between the frame and the body, right? So initially, out of production, it has the rigidity, of course, of a new car. But unless it's sealed completely, a lot of water would seep into between this plate and the body, and thus creating rust. And that happens a lot. This is an R33, but
Did he build his own plate for the R34?
yes, he made his own plate.
Because the
For future
stock
cars.
the stock one was unusable.
The one that he removed.
Once he took out the rust, it was just a very thin piece of metal that he cannot reuse
Because it was too rusty.
because it was too thin after removing the rust.
Oh, got it.
But
yeah.
this is from your car.
Okay, cool.
これが要は内側ってことです。
そうです。
Yeah. So this side is where the body was.
ちょうどもうここまで水がこれ溜まってた状態です。こっち側は。これが水のラインなん
So
で
it。means this line is sort of like the water line.
Yeah.
So water was all filled up to here.
Oh, wow. This is a laser cut piece that replaces it, and then you just spot weld it on. We got the Mines and the stock Nismo front diffuser side by side. The front diffuser that I had on the car has seen better days. It was really warped, and of course it was also open and it could talk because it's just hit so many driveways and so many inclines over the years from the previous owner. And I'm assuming that they changed it to this once they changed it to the Nismo bumper. With that said, we're gonna replace it with a Mines unit. This is really cool, and it works with this car specifically because there's a tint of Bayside Blue in the carbon. This piece is so neat. It's gonna be so much stiffer and it's gonna look so much better, and it's gonna match with the rest of the car in terms of how premium it looks. I was able to source one more Nismo part, which is the rear wing spat. So it's just this adjustable piece back here that is stock. Mr. Yoshida was able to secure a brand new version of the stock one because mine was all chipped up and dull and fading. But since I got the Nismo one, what we're gonna do is we're going to paint it clear, but just do a very, very light tint of Bayside Blue, which will match the Mines piece here. And this is version 1 of the Mines front diffuser. Version 2 is what comes on the Built by Legends R34s with the Built by Legends front bumper. Oh, okay. Okay. The finishing touch.
Yeah. This is for you.
An authentic Built by Legends dry carbon hood prop. They're all serialized. Arigato, BBL team. This is so cool. So then what was your thought? What was the story behind making dry carbon hood props?
We always thought that, when you go to car shows, people display their cars. Sometimes, just they have the cars, and a lot of the times people open up their hood and they have, beautiful engine room, all nice and clean, except for the hood prop. There are a lot of hood props made out of titanium, but none that were made of carbon. So we started to study making one out of carbon, which was a lot more difficult than we had expected because carbon is a very rigid material, but at the same time, when you make a rod out of it, it's more or less supposed to flex, whereas our purpose was not to flex. We did a lot of testing, and we came up with the final product.
It would be crazy for you to go to this length just for the performance benefit. But what's funny is there is a performance benefit. I did weigh it versus the stock one on my R32, and it was almost a pound difference in weight saved.
Performance-wise, if you talk in percentages, you are shaving off 85% of the weight from one product.
And you can see here, it says, built by legends, dry carbon, handcrafted in Japan. And this is not just for those people that have carbon hoods. It's for...
It can handle aluminum hoods as well. The steel hoods are a little bit too heavy for it. But aluminum hoods, you can use this prop.
Right, which is the stock GT-R hood. So cool. And then even the serial number is etched in.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on.
いいですか?
Final touch.
Insane.
Do we have to pinch each other? I must be dreaming. Look at this.
How crazy is this?
Following your new build as I close this build out. How good does this look?
So good.
Both of them together though, too, like complementary colors.
Blue and the yellow.
The blue and the yellow, so good. JDM Legends from this 1 year apart. Oh, whoa. This is why I love Japan. He doesn't even bat an eye. He doesn't even look. So Dustin and I are gonna go out on a cruise to send this car off because this is gonna be the last time I get to drive it in Tokyo. It's gonna live in Los Angeles going forward. Last tank of Japanese gas. Very surreal. Delivered. Oh, for me. So good. This is exactly what we needed. After this, we're gonna shoot.
Yeah. What do you think about Tatsumi too?
I've never been here.
It's cool, right?
Yeah, it's not as big as the first one.
No.
And it doesn't seem like there is as many photo opportunities, but the fact that it's open makes me happy.
It's cool.
We're running out of places to go.
One of the last surviving.
Yeah. And this is in Tokyo, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
almost felt normal.
What the hell?
I know that car.
Okay, this is insane. What the hell is going on here? Dude, this is so cool.
So actually,
Look at this E92 that just literally rolled up here at Tatsumi parking area. Full on time attack car, full aero. Look, look. This guy has his wing as a passenger seat. Why? Is that because that doesn't pass shotgun?
Nope. It's obvious. And then the front diffuser will pass shotgun.
Oh my goodness. Look how much air this thing's got to move. This thing's crazy.
Yes.
This is your car? Yeah. What an incredible build.
Thank you.
This is so cool. Wait, look at the paint matched. That is the hugest.
It comes from all the way from the front grille.
Wait, it takes all of the air from the
That's what I was saying, yeah.
windshield wiper bag to save weight.
Yep.
Oh,
Got a
Varus?
Forest hood, yeah. This thing is sick.
What a car! I love that the wing is just encased in a blanket. There's nothing in here.
What times are you running at Suba?
59.3.
59.3.
Sub 1 minute.
Sub minute. I gotta
Sub
go
1
back.
minute club. I can't believe you drive this on the street.
I only drive like once in a month or something.
Oh, so
No,
you're
it's
lucky.
it's like no air conditioner. It's deleted.
Oh,
Yo.
It's like
look
this.
at this.
Chassis mount.
Wait, so who makes this?
Yeah, my friend.
It's custom.
Custom.
It's very custom.
Wow.
Custom.
One of one.
Super chassis mount.
That is so sick.
So it's like
2,900 pounds or something like that.
the stock is about 1650.
Yeah. So he gutted 300 kilometers out of it.
300 kilos.
More than 300 kilogram.
Wow.
Reduced.
300 kilos out of this thing. Look at this center exit exhaust setup. That incredible car.
And this is original color, my friend.
And so what are these AO50s? Yokohamas?
Yes, Yokohama.
What are they? We don't get these in the US.
No, we don't get it. We get
AO50s.
We get 52s, they get 50s.
50.
Oh, 295.
So a bit not really.
Sticky, very sticky. M compound is very sticky.
We got cops. Of course. Tatsumi. That's how it is. We gotta go. Here we are at one of my favorite shooting locations in Tokyo. We had a chance to shoot the Liberty Walk F40 as well as the Liberty Walk Countach here right after Tokyo Auto Salon loadout. But now I'm here shooting my own car and it's just so pretty. It's incredible. The skylight looks like it's something out of an anime. There's just something about this space and something about the Tokyo cityscape that makes it so good for photos. It's those red blinking lights. It's absolutely beautiful and I've just never seen this anywhere else in the world. Damn, so much heat. You literally cannot go anywhere in Tokyo without seeing cool cars. You can't get away from it. You just can't get away from car culture here. It's way past midnight. I think it's getting closer to 1 a.m. I'm so exhausted, but it's just been so much fun to shoot and cruise with Dustin. Why does every scene look better in Japan?
I don't know. I could be out, I could never sleep. I could never sleep and be just fine.
That's basically us right now.
It
anyways.
is, absolutely. It's insane, dude. Every spot is like unique in its own way, right?
Can I just point out the fact that no matter where we go, we can't get away from these sickest cars just
Everywhere.
getting in our shot even.
Yeah, just wait till you leave and you see the GT-R that's parked outside.
Oh, I saw it. What a night. It was
What a
so
freaking
much
night.
fun to cruise.
Well, you know what this means? When that gets back to America, the 34's got to get back together.
Oh yeah, that's right. We gotta do a white and blue shoot.
Yeah, it's be sick. It's be sick.
That would be really cool. Looking forward to it. Dude, always,
Good day, man.
always stoked to hang out. No matter
All
where
over
we
the
are.
world. All
No
over the
matter
world.
where we are in the world.